Essays are very important for all types of bank exams, and many exams like the IBPS PO, the SBI PO, the SEBI grade A, RBI grade B, etc. These in the mains examination you have to write the essays. So let us talk about the key points that you need to remember for writing those essays, and let us take a look at the important essay topics for 2020. So let's begin. Hi, this is Shupriyo. So we are going to start with some basic things that you need to remember when you are writing the essays. Now, if you have any personal questions, if any specific things occur to you, then feel free to ask me in the comments and I'll definitely answer them. So let's begin. Okay, so the first thing, does word limit really matter in every essay? Now, this is an interesting question because this actually depends from exam to exam. It varies a lot, but generally when they are saying that you have a specific word limit, it is very important that you stick to it. Now usually the word limits, it will be ranging from around 200 up to it goes to about 400 to 500, but generally 300 words is the word limit for your traditional essay that you have. Now you can try and exceed maybe 10 words, or you can have 10 words less, or at a maximum 20 words, but beyond that, if you are actually increasing, then you are going to be penalized. So keep that in mind and try and follow the word limit to the T as much as possible. Now understand that earlier what used to happen, these essays were only checked by humans, but now what is happening, they will be running it through some computer programs, and those computer programs have some parameters. So one of the parameters is your word limit as well. So once that software will be analyzing your essay, you are going to get some numbers for your word limit, the adherence to your word limit, whether you have exceeded or not, and after that the human reviewer is going to actually check it. So just ensure that you are not exceeding the word limit too much, and also remember that your title also counts within that same word limit, so it is not separate. And now talking about titles, what is the importance of titles? Now this is something that a lot of people do not actually pay attention to, is that you do need a very good title. Now the title, it should not be too long, so don't make a title that is like 10 words or 12 words long. No, you should have ideally about 5 to 8 words maximum, and it should be summarizing what is the main idea of your essay. Now that is enough to make the examiner understand what it is all about. And so don't be in the habit of writing that long kind of a title, but give a very short and a very super effective and super to the point title, so that you can convince the examiner that yours is a essay that is worth reading. So many times it happens that people are not going to read through the essays if it is too boring, so try and make it as interesting as possible. And now coming to the tone of the essay. So what should be the tone? Now many people say that you should always write descriptive essays, or you should always write analytical essays, but the interesting thing to remember is that it will totally depend on the type of topic that you have picked. Now in the examination hall, I would say that you should be avoiding the kinds of topics which are very political or very opinion based, or something that is very critical of your organization that you want to enter, or it is very critical of the government. So don't fall into the trap of going after those essays. And if you are having to actually attempt those essays, then don't be overly critical. Now that's very important to understand, that whatever you are writing, it should just be something that an officer can actually write, because you are going for an officer level exam, right? So you should be having that kind of a demeanor. And so the tone of the essay, just try to draft it according to your subject. So it can be descriptive, it can be analytical, it can be expository, and all the different types of tones that you already know. And the next thing, so how should you end your essay? Now one of the important things that people sometimes overlook is the conclusion to the essay. They will be writing a great introduction, they will be just putting down their points, but they are not wrapping it up very well. And if you are not doing that, then you are risking a lot of marks, because once you are just at the fag end of the essay, you should be always giving some kind of a solution. So whatever the problem is that is presented to you, try and solve something, or give a prescription about how the other entity like the government or the organization can solve that problem. So solutions are often very important in these types of essays, and they will be actually seeing your analytical ability and how you are approaching that solution. So make sure that you are ending on a positive kind of a note, you are ending on a solution note, and you are ending in a way that does not leave the reader hanging. It shouldn't happen that the reader feels that there is something left to be covered. You should be just sealing your entire ideas within that paragraph that you have written, and it is something like putting an icing on the cake, because if the cake is very delicious, even then the icing does actually make a difference. So remember that. And finally, what type of topic should you be choosing for your essays? Now, as I already told you, that you cannot go ahead and choose a topic which is extremely very opinion based, or it is just a topic which is very political, or which has a lot of criticism thrown towards the government or towards the organization. Don't pick those topics. Pick a topic which is easy to handle, which does not cause you to become very unfavorable with the examiner, because remember, the people who are going to check your examination papers, they are quite old people. Understand this very interesting thing, because I feel that a lot of people just overlook it. They are not young people like us, so they will not be open to all those radical ideas. I know that you want to suggest many radical ideas in your essays, but try and keep it a little bit conservative. Do not go out there to just tell them to do something very out of the ordinary, because that is not actually seen in a good light. So understand these things when you are picking your topic, and just do it in the way that just makes sense for that kind of an examination. So that is how you are going to pick it. And of course, if you have any questions regarding all of these things, feel free to ask me. I have actually made a full video on the descriptive section of English. You can go check it out. It is very informative and it covers a lot of things much more in depth. And now let us move towards the essay topics, which are very important for our 2020 examinations. The first topic is something that is very important for this year: the coronavirus pandemic, the issues and the resolution. Now, there are a lot of ways to approach this topic. So there is a very negative way and a positive way as well. Now, negative points, you are all knowing what to write, so there is no dearth of negativity. But even the positive points, like people have taken a break, they are now moving towards digital forms. Now the workspace is actually changing quite a lot. So these are the positive things. And you can also talk about the international cooperation that has actually happened because of this pandemic, how the entire society has come together, how communities which have been affected, they are also bouncing back. Of course, there are things like the migrant crisis, that is also something that can be asked to you. So just ensure that all the things you are balancing while you are writing about this pandemic. So the pros and the cons, whatever you are feeling, just write down in a piece of paper and just note them, because it will be very useful for you, because in that examination hall you won't have so much time to think about so many things. And the way that I want you to think about these topics is that you don't have to write your entire essays, just write down some bullet points and keep it with you. So if these kinds of essays or any similar kind of essays are coming, then you can just go ahead and attempt them without any kind of problem. The second topic is the rise of bank frauds and what can we do about it. Now, about the bank frauds, there have been a lot of frauds, especially about the cooperative banks, the PMC bank crisis we are all familiar with. We had so many frauds at PNB, private bank frauds like the Yes Bank fraud, and all the other things that you can find. You can just sum together and you can compactly deliver that how we are actually dealing with it, how we are finding some new solutions, how can we use new technologies like the blockchain to effectively stop these, how can we use artificial intelligence, how can we use the machine learning, and so many important new developments, so that we can just fix these frauds, and how the Reserve Bank of India can easily regulate all of these things with the limited amount of manpower that it has. So try and approach the topic in this way, and I'm sure that you are going to get some good marks. And the next one is how to reduce the NPAs in the Indian banks. Now, NPA, this is some topic which is very traditional, and for many years we are getting essays on NPAs. Now, I have covered NPAs totally in my banking awareness series. You can go check it out. You can get some ideas from it, and you can just read up on the various kinds of things that are happening in this space. So just remember all the data points. Sometimes giving the gross NPA, the net NPA figure, it is actually very impressive. So some types of topics, they are very data heavy, and NPA topic is one of them, because if you can state all the important numbers, then it works in your advantage. So that is how you are going to approach this topic. You can give some solutions about the public asset rehabilitation agency and about the many other different ways in which we are reducing the NPAs, how the economy can bounce back, what the government can do, what the common person can do, how we can improve the credit discipline. So all these things, even about the farming loan waivers, those things also you can just tie in together and you can package them in a very positive kind of a way. The next topic is on bank privatization, the pros and cons. Now this is an example of a topic which is extremely sensitive. Many people who are just going to check your paper, they have been working in the public sector banks, right? So don't speak too highly of the privatization. Just mention that it is not a panacea, it will not solve all kinds of problems, but it is good that the government is actually keeping it as an option. So some of the weaker banks, they can be privatized, and the other banks, they can be merged and they can be made into bigger banks. So try and approach it in that kind of a way. Just don't hark upon the inefficiency of the staff. That is not something that you should be focusing on too much. Just try and say that privatization will be increasing the efficiency of all the things that are happening in a bank, how the pay structure can be little bit different, then we can take the good talent from everywhere. We do not need to have the examinations, the traditional examinations. So all these kinds of things you can just put together and you can draft your essay. The next topic is whether India can become a $5 trillion economy. Now this is also a kind of a topic which is very data heavy. You can try and find out what is the percentage of weightage of our GDP, of the service sector, of the manufacturing sector, and how we are actually improving our economy and aiming to go to that $5 trillion mark. Now that we have this coronavirus pandemic going on, why this is becoming very difficult to do, what are the challenges, why the other sectors are down, what is actually happening across the economy, each and every single thing you can tie in together. And you can also talk about the various initiatives on the part of the government and how they are helping, how they are not always great. So those things you can tie in together and you can finalize this essay. The next topic is the reason for frauds in the urban cooperative banks, or the UCBs. Now recently RBI has gained full regulatory powers on these urban cooperative banks, and why did the government actually do it, what is actually the PMC bank crisis, and why the frauds are actually happening in the first place, what can we do to fix it. So this is also similar to the bank fraud thing, but I have put it as a different subject, as a different entire topic, because the UCBs were very much in news and now UCBs have gained prominence in our Indian economy. So it makes sense that you just think about some points about the UCBs as well, because they can very well ask this question to you. The next topic is the Indian media only focused on TRP? Now the TRP scam that has recently happened, I am sure that you have read about it. So the television rating points, how they are being forged, what is the kind of things that these channels are doing. Now you can also tie in things about the Sushant Singh Rajput death case, how the media is actually milking that case, how they are pulling the nepotism angle or the drugs angle, and what are the various things that they are actually trying to propagate, and how in this way they are just capturing the minds and the hearts of the Indian audience, and in this way they are actually becoming very, very wealthy. Now these are the kinds of things which are a little bit more sensitive. So if possible, then you can avoid this topic entirely, because as you understand, this is a very opinion heavy kind of a topic, and these topics can become a little bit dangerous if you are handling it. So ensure that you understand all the aspects and you frame them in a bullet point manner before you are approaching this. And that is all. Now the next set of topics. So does India have too much judicial overreach? Now this is a topic that is a little bit old, and for a few years now we have been talking about judicial overreach, how the Supreme Court is actually just giving judgments on so many sensitive matters so quickly, and why it is perhaps not that much necessary. So there have been a lot of reports about it, why the Indian courts are now actually very, very active. Read about the reports that say that the strength of the Indian judiciary, the number of people working in it, has reduced, and so that's the reason for the backlog of cases. So they are just going ahead and giving their judgment on non-important cases as well. So those are the entire things that you have to think about when you are writing on this topic. The next topic is how can we improve the ease of doing business in India? Now this is a very important topic. as you know that India is on the 63rd position in this ranking, and recently there have been some questions about the methodology changes and why India might have actually gained a higher ranking than it actually deserved. So a lot of controversy is going on about this, but you can just think about the various kinds of factors which are involved, which are the cities that they use in the rankings, how they are not actually going to the tier 2 or the tier 3 cities, and how we can improve the business in that kind of a way, how we can just reduce the regulations, how we can make it easy for foreign companies to come in, how the FDI limits can also be reduced even though they have been reduced a lot. And those are the kinds of things that you have to talk about. And remember the ranking of India, the number 1 ranked country, and all those data points. So as I told you, this is another type of topic where the data points are very important, and you can just write down all the relevant data points and frame your answer. The next topic is, will the bank branches exist in the future? Now this is a very interesting topic. This is about the digitalization, how the digital mode is actually disrupting the brick and mortar model that we right now have in the Indian economy, how the bank branches, they are not going to remain as the main centers of banking now that people are going to go online and they are going to use a lot of ATM cards and online modes to actually transact, and how the bank branches can be rebranded, how they are not actually going away anytime soon, but they can become very different. They can be used to market the bank's products, how they can become help centers about the bank's products, and all those kinds of things. So it's a very interesting topic, and if you just go ahead and pick this topic and you can write it very well, then there is a high chance that the examiner is going to be very impressed. The next topic is, what will be the future of the workplace in 50 years? Now this is also another very interesting topic, and this is about predicting the future. What are the current trends? What is happening with artificial intelligence? What is happening with the Internet of Things? What's happening with blockchain? Cryptocurrency is coming up. Then you have so many different kinds of career possibilities opening up, which earlier did not even exist. So these are the important things that you can think about. You can write them down, and it is going to be a very interesting topic that you are going to deal with. And the next topic is, will the universal basic income work in India? Now the UBI, it is actually a very old kind of a topic, but recently it has been talked about a lot, and many countries are looking at it again after the pandemic to just try and stimulate the economy. So will India be able to do it? Is it possible, or is it going to become very negative? Now the Economic Survey of India had also talked about this in the past. You can find it online, and you can get some great points by which you can tackle this topic. The next topic is another very hot topic, which is the National Educational Policy 2020. The NEP 2020, a lot has been written about it, lot has been said, so I don't really need to give you any pointers, but you can just have a balanced approach. You can say that this is the start of something very new in the Indian economy, how this is going to help our youngsters, how this is actually going to cause a paradigm shift, and I am sure that it's also going to be a very interesting topic to pick. And the final topic for today is, should data privacy be a basic right? Now this is also something very important. India is among the few big countries in the world that still does not have a basic data privacy law. As you know, many people have said data is the new oil. So many important things you can find out by doing this data mining. What is big data? How you can have some huge storehouse, some warehousing of data. So all these kinds of things you can just wrap together, and you can present it in a very urgent way. So this is also another very interesting topic, and you can find a lot about it online. So I'm sure that it's going to be useful to you. If you are still looking for any kind of mock test, you can check the link in the description and get some discount on that. And I hope that you learned something from this video and that it was beneficial to you. If you enjoyed it, please leave a like and share it with your friends. And if you want to see more of this kind of content, please click on the subscribe button, and do not forget to click the bell icon so that you, my friend, do not miss any future update. I'll see you in the next video. Bye bye.